Well, Laney
Lane's with her.
went out to join her.
And Bart's got one sister in there.
Right, but not many family around.
And you got to know?
Yeah, this is July 4th, and you were telling me about going to school with Arthur Lowing, and then at one point he had brought you apples in school, and you were starting to tell me that you had dated him or gone out with him.
Yeah.
And where was it, coming back from Clear
He was
Creek?
coming back from church. And
Clear Creek.
Yeah, he's got up in the wagon. He sat up on the front with my brother. And we had chairs, my mother and my sisters was all in the wagon. We had a load. We were going up a hill, and I noticed him getting out. He'd get out and walk a little piece, walk up a hill, just like he was saving the mule. Then my brother would get out.
You were how old then?
Oh, I was 16 years old. All at once, that pint of whiskey slid out of what there was left in it. It was a half full. It fell out of his pocket and slid right down under my feet. And I just reached down and picked it up, put it over, and we carried dinner to church that day. We had dinner on the ground, very loud, and I put it in the basket.
Now, because that motor, I didn't hear that, you picked up the bottle.
I picked up the bottle and put it in the lunch basket, and then it was put under the cloth. And we went on. My mother saw it, and went on a while, and directly she felt like that. Said something to Gus. He was up in the front.
Your brother Gus was the one with him.
Oh, he was standing up. Arthur was standing up, and Gus and Jane was in the front, in the seat in the front. And he said something to Gus. So directly they started up the hill, and Gus got out to walk the hill, you know. And Arthur got out too.
Yeah.
Well, Gus was walking along by the wagon, you know, looking in, see if he could spot that bottle. And Arthur got behind the wagon. And he peeped and looked. I could tell what he was doing. I didn't see him. But I didn't look around, I mean. And they didn't find it. When they got to the house, Gus asked my mother. She told me it's in the basket back there. Well, and they was both pretty full. And Dad never interfered with any of us girls, boys we associated with,
Right.
unless something happened that he didn't like.
Yeah.
And I heard him tell my mother at the time, he thought I'd better leave that boy alone. He was just full. Wouldn't eat supper, wouldn't do anything. And he went off with my brother. But the next morning he come back by. And I told him that we could be friends on and on, as far as us associating together, that I didn't like the idea. I never did go with him no more, never dated him.
How much of that was your father's influence, do you think? Was there a great deal of respect for your father's opinion, or did you independently reach your own decisions, do you think?
I listened to my daddy. He always gave us good advice. And if I'd do something that wasn't right, he'd say, "Now, don't do that. That is not right." And he'd say, "If you do right, you'll do well."
Someone brought you a bouquet, Mom.
What is it?
I don't know.
Where in the world have you been?
Over at Rudy's cabin.
Did you get some of the wildflowers you wanted?
Well, that's indigo weed.
Do you have Jancy with you?
Indigo weed.
Yeah?
Were those yellow blossoms and the brown stems?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are brown. It's not a black-eyed Susan.
No, I showed it to Jancy. Did she tell you? Yeah.
No, it's not black.
Tell her we saw that on the Clay Road
Yeah.
in South Georgia.
He'd say, "Do right," and you'll always do well. Always do right, and you'll do well. And I'd say, "Well, Dad, I'd try him sometimes. I'd see just what he'd come out with."
All right, let me go ahead. I get the idea that parents then were not only much more respected, their word was more or less law, but it was good advice.
Yeah, it was good advice, and I respected his law and any.
Who else did you date
And
besides Arthur Lowing?
Oh Lord, I don't know. Several different ones. Pink Weaver and this.
Pink Weaver.
Bunch of them. Give me my
Was
key.
Pink his legal name?
Give me my key.
That's Jancy with her indigo weed.
Is that what that is? Rudy, I'm around you so much I get scratched up too.
Larkin Campbell was always favorite in school, and he was much younger than me. And
You liked Larkin Campbell?
and he's always followed me around. And
How much younger than you was?
oh, he's about 6 years.
All right, Arthur Lowing, but then who else did you go out with? Pink Weaver? Was Pink his right name?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pinkney.
Pinkney.
Jim Thompson.
Mm-hmm.
Lum Man.
These were the boys she courted now.
Leslie Waddell.
Well, I'd say you did pretty well for that part of Gilman
Well, I
County.
didn't have no certain one. We just,
That meant going to Clear Creek Church at Ebenezer with
And
them?
this was all before the age of what?
16. She was about 15 and 16.
yeah.
That's supposed to be in the car.
15 or 16? Is that
Yeah.
about? When did you begin? Well, sort of going to church with somebody in a wagon with your family would be.
That's the only
Getting
way I
sweet
went
with
to church.
Yeah.
That's the only way we went to church was the whole family. And then
You really never, you
we
didn't
had a
have much
boyfriend,
opportunity
we'd-
to.
We'd be together at church, and then
Yeah.
I'd get no I can go home unless he wanted to go home with me.
Yeah, but going off very much by yourself and a boy you were dating was not possible.
No, I never went out with no boy. I went to church with him.
You could walk around
His
your
daddy used to
your
drive
yard.
his mule and buggy and carry me to church anywhere I wanted to go. But there's a lot.
How long did you know Oliver
I
West?
was raised with him.
And was he one of? Did he attend the same school?
Yeah.
Did we?
For a while, he was 15 years old.
Oh, that's right. Grandpa West's children sometimes went to Ebenezer and.
Well, they went to Oakland School, and the younger ones. They moved down right close to Oakland High School.
Right. How long then did you actively court Oliver West?
Oh, several years.
Starting when?
He was around the house. He used
12?
to work. He used to work for my brother, and he lived about 7 miles away. And he worked there with my brother, and sometimes. he
Which
worked
brother?
with Charlie. He worked
Doing what?
for Dad on the farm. Was all he knew how to do.
Day
Making
labor?
cross ties.
Would he
Making
help
cross
with blacksmithing, that type of thing, or
No,
no?
he never done any blacksmithing. He was pretty good at carpenter work in a rough way. He could make things fit when he tried.
Now, did any of these boys ever go on, or girls, to another higher school at that time in your life?
Oh, yeah.
Which ones?
Well, well, I never thought about John Walker's
Children?
family.
Who went to school from that family with you?
Ben, Whitty, Clarence, Ida,
What name?
Ida,
Mhm.
and Ori, and Ira, and Leonard. All went
Odie and Ira, it's
Ora.
spelled Ora, and Ira is spelled,
ERA.
okay. And they all went to school with you. Now, which ones of those went on to another school?
Well, Ora and Ira and Clarence went to Berry School, Martha Berry School.
How do you think they heard of it? Do you have any idea?
Hmm?
How did they hear of Berry
Oh,
School?
well, there was people from the Martha Berry School would come down around. Well, there were other people around there. There was
Went to
boys
the
and
Berry
girls that
School?
went to Berry School. And they got,
The only ones in your immediate area, though, were these Walker children.
yeah.
None of the Wests or Mulkeys or people in your immediate thing except the Walkers ever went there until Don did, I guess.
Yeah.
When Don started to the Berry School, were you still living in Gilmer County or had you left?
So, we were in Douglas County, I guess. Right close, not far from Douglasville.
Did anyone ever go on to any other schools? Or did any of them go on to, become professionals or doctors or lawyers?
Well, Clarence Walker was a lawyer, made a lawyer.
Mhm.
But he's dead now. And
Where did he practice law? In LJ?
No, in, I don't remember where it was.
He left that area.
Yeah, he left Gilmer County. All the boys left Gilmer County.
Now, did any of the fathers we're talking about do anything else except farm and maybe preach on the side or something like that?
None of them that I ever knew.
They never had an occupation of any other sort than farm
No.
in any of those schools?
Well, Dad
Ebenezer?
did a lot of blacksmithing. And like that.
Who else was a blacksmith besides your father in all that area that people might go to?
Charlie Kennemer.
He did some blacksmith.
Yeah. He had a sawmill, he had a watermill, grist mill, grind mill, saw logs, saw lumber for people.
And who else had a grist mill besides Charlie Kennedy?
Well, Uncle Washmoker run one for a while. And then on down at Dyke.
Where was his grist mill, Uncle Washmoker?
It was down on this farm, about 2 miles from where I was raised.
And where was Charlie Kennemer's?
On his place right there, about 1 mile from where I was raised.
And what was the stream it was on, any particular?
Turkey Creek.
And how about Washmoke's grist mill?
I don't know what creek it. I think there were several streams around it. They had to build a dam to hold the water.
Who else did any sawmilling or ran a sawmill there?
Well, this was run by water. Kennemer's was. There's a lot of sawmills around there. There's a sawmills on my daddy and my brother owned the farm there, and there's a sawmill on there for 8 months. Sawed Dad's timber, and then other people bring logs in sometimes.
What was the power they used there?
Steam.
How did they fire? With the cut wood that they...
Yeah. Fed it with wood.
And how did they get the steam in there? How did they get the equipment in there? Brought it in on wagons or
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
boiler?
they brought it in on wagons. Didn't have nothing else to bring it in. And they pulled the logs with shears. Drug the logs. It cut down. My daddy's place is a big hill, big holler going down the, it was a steep hill, steep mountain, and there's some the best timber down there.
What was the timber like?
White oak, post oak, mountain oak, chestnut oak, and pine sometimes, poplar.
And how, let's wait till that motor. How thick through was it that you remember of your own
The log?
memory? The logs, yeah.
Oh gosh, some almost 5 foot through at the ground where they cut off.
Were any walnut in there?
No, there wasn't any walnut.
But
But
a
these
lot of
stairs-
the oak was as much as 5 foot
Oh
through?
yeah.
So this was virgin timber probably. that you
Well,
never-
I don't know how old it was, but they had 4 yoke of oxen that they drug those logs with, along up to the mill.
How old were you when this?
Oh, I was grown. I cooked for the darn bunch of sawmill hands for
Where did
8
they
months.
come from? Those?
Oh, they was local people. I lived around Cardigan.
How many hands did you have around there? That work?
10, 12. All depended on the work.
Now, where was the sawmill located? At,
Well, it was right on my daddy's farm once for a good long while, and then moved down on my brother's farm,
your brother, which brother now?
Charlie.
Charlie.
But they'd get those logs down in that, way down in that holler down, and the steers couldn't pull them up the hill. But they had something that had pullleys and a little cable. They'd take the steers down there and or they'd leave the steers up here and they'd fix that cable up and they'd drive the steers down the mountain and they'd pull the log up.
They'd get some
To
leverage
that
in,
cable.
I guess, huh? Around a pulley.
I used to stand and watch them drag them logs out of there. It looked like it was
That was a
impossible.
very steep grade. They had to
Oh,
pull 'em
well,
up.
it was.
Now, when they got them up, they would actually saw them into the
Pull 'em
sizes they wanted.
Put them right into the mill. If you want 2x4s, it'd have 2x4s, 2x6s, 4x8s. 8 by 10.
Did he sell the lumber, or was he using all of
He
it?
sold the timber to the sawmill. He never used all the lumber that sawed off it. He had 160 acres of ground.
Who did the boiler then and the sawmill belong to then, that was on his property?
Well, I wish you...
Yeah, you wish that fella'd quit running up and down your
I
road
sure
out here.
do. Not only now, all the time. It's
That's all he knows how to do, I guess, go up and down the hill. I wish they'd go down the other way. I guess he does. He goes down his mother's side of the hill, too. Who ran the sawmill, in other words? You were feeding the...
Different ones. They had different men to do the sawing. One did change once in a while. One man get tired and quit.
Who do you think it belonged to?
It belonged to John West, the one that sawed my dad's timber.
And was John West part of the West family? Or
Oh,
not?
no, he was one of them.
So he did sawmilling generally besides farming. He would
Yeah.
move his sawmill around.
He didn't do anything much. He told his men what to do. He didn't saw.
He was a sawmill operator, more than a farmer himself. I mean, he made the profits on the sawmill.
He did the bossing most of it.
Mm-hmm.
Running around, he always kept a hand there. Was a good sawyer. Have to change it once in a while. It'd make him mad and quit.
But he had about 10 or 12 men that he had working for him, and you
Yeah.
had to feed them out on the farm. Did those men work for John West then?
Yeah. Some of them he'd pay and some he wouldn't.
What do you mean by that? How could he not pay them?
Well, he'd just get by somehow or another. By hook or crook, somehow or another.
They'd work for him, and he wouldn't pay them, and then they'd quit, huh?
Mm-hmm.
And this lasted about 9 months, you think?
Yeah,
On
it took him 9 months to saw them 2 sets.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of sweet gum on my brother's place. He had that sawed.
Who ran stores around there? Was the closest stores? Where were they located?
5 miles from where I was raised. There's a dike, post office dike.
Who ran that?
When team, far back as I can remember, and the Osborne boys bought it. They still got it there, still in operation.
That is? Osborne.
I was there not too many years ago.
You got a sunburn?
So there weren't many occupations. You've just about described anything a person could do between part-time teaching, preaching, a little bit of sawmilling, and everybody else was making a living trying to farm.
And cut locust pins.
What?
Making locust pins,
Where did they make
cross
locust?
ties,
Huh?
cross ties.
Where were they doing all that?
All right, that's where I was raised.
What?
I guess his daddy's made no telling how many thousand cross ties.
Well, what did he use to make them?
Axe and saw.
They would accept them with hand sawed into shape, and just.
Oh, yeah.
And how much would he sell them to the railroad or the contractor for?
25 cents a piece.
When do you think that was? After you were married?
Well, some of it was, some of it was before. He used to use 10 cross ties a day, make $1 a day. Queuing ties. They paid 10 cents a piece for queuing the ties. And then the man would have to haul them 8 and 10 miles to Elgin and get 25 cents for them. And they locusts, there's a lot of...
You mean you had to cut them off your own place? It was your
Yeah.
own timber,
Yeah.
and do the work and sell them for
Yeah, ma. Sell them for, haul them.
sell them for 10 cents if you didn't haul them. Is that right? Or
No,
Or-
you make them for 10 cents.
Yeah.
Anybody that wanted ties hewed and wanted to go in, there's one man hewed
just for the labor, they'd pay 10 cents a tie.
10 cents a
Okay.
tie.
I got
There's
you.
one man, he couldn't count above 10. And he hewed cross ties all the time. And he'd pile his cross ties up, he'd pile 10 in a pile. And then when he got 10 piles, he knew pretty well how many ties he had. He couldn't count above 10 though.
Who was he, do you remember?
Milt Larman.
And he lived near you? Now, who would he sell those to? Who would come by to get
He
those?
didn't sell them. He was making them for the other fellow.
He was doing the labor.
Yeah.
Did money pass? Would they pay cash for work like that, or would they take it out and trade it or something?
Take what?
In other words, would one person pay another like a silver dollar for 10? Or would they just say, I owe it to you, and take it out in moonshine, or take it out in trade?
If they wanted moonshine, they'd take it in moonshine.
What'd moonshine be worth a gallon at that time?
$1, $1.50. A man used to take a bushel of corn and make a gallon of whiskey. Get $1 for the gallon of whiskey. And he was making good money on his corn. Corn was 35 and 40 cents a bushel just to sell it from the barn. And he'd make it into whiskey.
He didn't think of his labor.
And get $1 out of it. Well, they usually made it when they couldn't do nothing else. They'd make a crop and then start making moonshine. Make a run or two before powder pulling time, and then they'd take care of that, go right back and make more.
That would make it early fall, and then they'd
Make it
start
all
again
winter.
in the winter. Huh?
Yeah, there's a lot of moonshine made back then. And then they got to where they put everything in it besides corn.
What did they put in it?
Black molasses, eagle eye, Arctic soap, sweet shrub roots,
Anything that...
mountain ivy roots, anything that would make it hold a bead. No, they wanted to hold a bead. They'd take one where people used to make a run of whiskey. They'd get the corn, and they sprouted their own mash. They didn't have to, and they'd make a run of whiskey. And whatever they made out of that run was all they got. The rest of it went off, and the hogs eat it. Everybody had fat hogs around there. They ate that still slop, and then they got to where they got to adulterating it. They put everything in it, and it had to hold a bead so many seconds. You shake a bottle like that, and hold a bead. If they didn't put something in it to make it high, if you shake it up that way, and just like that, the bead would come on, but it's gone. And they put this everything in it.
That's when they began to adulterate it to try to hold the bead?
Yeah, so that's why they put that stuff in it, to make it hold the bead.
It would still, they'd use basically corn, but they began to add other
Yes, but
junk
they'd
to
take
it.
one run where the moonshiners used to make a run of whiskey out of one setting, one mash, one batch of mash, and run the slop off from the still after they got the whiskey out of it. They would catch this. They got to catching that stuff and let it set up and put sugar in it and this other stuff and let it set and work off again, and they make it up. There's one man that lived there close to me. I knew him all my life. He made 7 runs out of one starting.
When did they start doing that? Many years ago? Or was that later
just,
that
along World War One.
is when they began
when
cutting
it
it?
Got high.
It's because the price went up, you think? Is that what greed?
I mean the price went up. It went $10 a gallon.
And one man made 7 runs out of
Yeah, one.
bunch of corn, yeah.
Yeah.
How big were the quantities that they would run? Were you?
Oil depended on the size of the still. Some had small still, and some had 100 gallons and more they could run, that one run. Last night I stayed in Gilmer County. There's a man come there. I stayed with the old man Lillie. And he'd been making whiskey 1 month right over the hill. I could hear them over there when the air was coming that way, and you could see the fire from the furnace from the road. He'd made there, him and 2 other fellows. They worked there 1 month. In that month, they cleared $1,000 apiece. Now they made that much clear. And I stayed there with him the night. Last night we stayed in Gilmer County.
Mm-hmm.
Then a man come in just after dark. Me and his daughters in the kitchen fixing or washing dishes.
Mm-hmm.
He came in. He said, "Effie, Daddy, there's a man out there that wants 500 gallons of whiskey."
Mm-hmm.
And she said, "Well, Pat, let him have it and get him out of the way." "Damn it, I ain't got it." Well, she said, "Let him take what he's got and be satisfied." "Hell no, I'll go over here to Lawrence's." This family man lived just across the field. Well, and borrowed. He didn't have the 300 gallons now. There, called Lawrence out. I only borrowed 200 gallons of whiskey. Okay. Measured it out for him.
They were big producers, huh?
And he got $10 a gallon for that 500 gallons of whiskey.
Now, what was he usually packaging in it? What size containers?
Oh, they had in jugs, kegs, and barrels.
They actually had barrels, like 50-gallon barrels, that size.
Yeah,
They could...
50 gallons. Yeah,
Where did they get the barrels?
They'd have smaller kegs. Well, they were doing but liner and get all they wanted.
Did you know were any revenuers local people? Were any of the people that became revenuers people that were local, that you knew from your youth or anything?
No,
Or were they all strangers?
I don't think I do. I knew one man. He married my cousin. He had it made all the time, and he had it done, and while they were making it for him, he was rolling around over the hills spotting little smoke spirals going up.
Now, was he like an undercover agent, or was he an open revenue, or actually an open?
No, he was just a low-down dirty rascal.
Yeah, he was an agent undercover.
Well, they got to watching him. He was having it made all the time. And ever so often, there's about 3 or 4 in that section that was having it made or making it for sale. They'd be cut down. The revenue would come in and cut their shebang down and go off. And the fellows who working for him wasn't bothered.
Yeah.
Well, they got suspicious. They told him what they was going to do. And one night they went to his house, and they didn't give it any warning. They started shooting. They said they shot his house full of holes. Looked like a cistern.
What was his name?
Carnes.
And which cousin of yours did he marry?
He married Uncle Washmarker's girl,
What was her name?
Georgia. And they gave him notice to get out, and he left. Somebody said to him one day, why didn't you go out and mix it with them? Well, I wouldn't have stood for that. Well, he said, I was sick. Didn't feel like going out in town. You know, his wife said, "Sick hell, you're so far back under the bed you didn't know whether it was a dog or a cat." He got under the bed.
Now, say someone like Uncle Wash Mulkey who drank a lot, would he buy it all, or would he produce some of it himself?
He never made a drop in his life, I don't reckon. Or never had
Who
it.
were the best moonshiners, probably, that didn't cut it, that you think made good whiskey?
Doc Lawn was one. Wes Holt, Gus Holt, Bunyan Smith. Oh, there's a number of them. I can't remember all of them.
They tended to make a good grade of moonshine.
Well, they did until they got to...
Made so much
Till it
money.
went up and they got...
Then they all began to water it or dilute it, huh?
Yeah.
What were the main things they adulterated it with? You mentioned... You don't mean adding grains to it.
Anything, if they couldn't get one thing, they'd get something else to answer the purpose.
But molasses was one common.
Molasses is what give it the power to work off again after they run it 3 or 4 times. And they got to where they couldn't get the syrup, and then they ordered these old black molasses, New Orleans, black molasses. Brought it in there with a barrel full.
Were there anybody in the Mulkey or West families besides Lowing and people that were nearby neighbors and all, and people that you knew well that could produce good moonshine themselves?
Produce good moonshine.
Mm-hmm. Or less bad.
Anybody that knew how to do it could do it, but anybody that knew how to put this other stuff in it could do it. Well, there wasn't very few people around that didn't fool with it.
In that whole area?
Yeah.
So it was a case of whether they did it on a small scale or whether they were producing it by hundreds of gallons.
If they wanted to fool with it, some of them would get scared and others.
Do you ever remember anyone serving time actually having to go to jail for moonshine?
Well, Grandpa West did once. He quit teaching school.
Yeah.
I don't know why. After again, well, Pink Gauze, his cousin, talked him into making whiskey, make more than you can to teaching school. Well, he took notion he tried. And he tried it just a little while and got caught. Had to spend some time in jail and he quit.
Now, when you spent time in jail, was that usually a federal jail or just a local county or federal?
Some Atlanta, I believe.
Yeah. He's the only one in your remembrance? A lot of them paid fines or just bail and came out and never were prosecuted.
Yeah, and used to they didn't care if they said that they get caught half a dozen times, wouldn't go any harder on them than just one time.
When was Grandpa West? Was this after you were married?
No.
It was a long time before.
I was just a kid. Well, it's while he was teaching school every year.
Mm-hmm. He went back to teaching then?
No, never did teach school, no.
He preached some, didn't he, with his brothers? Which was it, his brothers, or was it his father? Seems to me there was
His
preaching.
father.
His father.
His father and two of his uncles were preachers.
Did anybody in the immediate family run for office? JP, was that a common office?
My daddy was JP for several years.
Did you run for that,
But
or were you just
run
appointed?
No, they just elected him.
He was elected in the area?
Yeah.
Any of the others that held office?
No, not that I remember.
Of Mulkeys or West?
Well, it seemed like Grandpa West was tax collector once. But he missed his aim.
He didn't get elected tax collector. Was that a county office or just for that area?
Yeah, county office.
When you were growing up, would you be aware without radio and TV like now of like who was president, or would people discuss national matters, or would they just be talking about what was going on in the area?
They didn't know too much about it. There wasn't too many people that took the paper. Now my daddy, as long back as I can remember, took the Atlanta Journal.
He took the Atlanta Journal?
Mm-hmm.
Did it come in every day?
It was a semi-weekly journal.
Semi-weekly.
Yeah.
Was it called the Journal then or something else?
Semi-weekly journal.
Came out times a week?
Once a week.
Once a week. And it came from Atlanta, and he read it weekly.
Yeah.
From the time you
he'd
were...
sit and read it until he couldn't see too good, and he didn't have any glasses, and he'd take these little old tin lamps, little brush lamps, about so big around the wick, about like a small pencil.
Yeah.
And he'd have to hold that lamp out up against his paper to read.
Did you ever read it?
Oh yeah, I used to read it.
What was in it? Does anything strike you?
Lord, I can't remember now. It's been so long
Would
ago.
it have news or features
Oh,
more?
news, and then there was a Dorothy Dix used to write, and what was that old lady named Cartersville? Felton.
Oh, Rebecca Felton?
Yeah,
Is that the one?
yeah.
She was something big in government or something.
Yeah, she'd have something in every paper. Dad used to Like to read that.
When are you remembering now? When you were little or when you were grown? What period?
Well, I was grown.
Okay.
Before they got to.
Who else took a newspaper besides your father?
I don't remember anybody. I didn't. But we didn't have much way to get around. I remember them saying that if we ever went to anybody's house, we never saw anything about a newspaper.
No.
Whether they had one or not.
What did you remember? Any home, the Walker home or any other in which there were books in those days? Besides
Not
the
too many
Bible?
books.
Besides the Bible?
Not too many.
Now, what about
No.
a Bible? Was there a Bible in your own home?
Oh, yeah. All back in
Did your father record the facts in the Bible too, like births of children and all that?
Oh, yeah. Harsh has got that Bible now.
And it shows all the family records.
Yeah. It's got the whole thing there, I reckon.
And
I haven't seen it in
most
mine.
other homes had a Bible like that
Yeah.
used for recording. What other book was in your own home?
Well, Dad bought, we always called it Spurgeon book, Charles
Yeah,
S. Spurgeon.
yeah.
I read that. a
That's
lot.
about a preacher, isn't it?
I
Thank
don't know.
Spurgeon.
I know that I was several of those out of it that I remember. It wasn't exactly all about a preacher, but the thing was it was always, he had some little jokes in there. You know.
Was that it? Well, I was thinking it was like
Well,
philosophy and religion.
They were sensible reading, good reading in it, but he, I guess to keep people interested, he
Mhm.
put a little something humorous in it.
Right. Any other book?
And there's and there's a funny picture. An old man all humped over going walking along, and the one behind him humped worse than he was, and he's pointing his finger. Pointing his finger and laughing at him. And it said, humpback sees his neighbor's hump, but he fails to see his own.
That was in the Spurgeon book, the
Yeah.
drawing, yeah. Any magazines that you took? Or was it just the Atlanta Weekly?
I don't remember any magazines until
When did you first see
after
them?
I was grown. I subscribed to the Comfort magazine one time, and I enjoyed reading that. It had good reading in it, and it had some good stories in it.
All right. How about letters? Do you remember receiving letters in your family?
Done what?
Letters, mail coming in.
Oh, yeah.
Who would they?
We
Someone
got
who went out west would write back home, or
Yeah, Mother had a sister
She didn't have anything with
that went to the Indian Territory. And in 1921, she got a letter from her sister's youngest child telling her about her death. She died at the age of 108.
that was your mother's oldest sister.
Uh-huh. And the letter had been on the postmark. Had been on the road for a year, over a year. By the time it was
They
mailed.
couldn't find you, I
Well,
guess,
they
huh?
got it. Yeah, they'd moved. They moved from Snyder to Cardigan, and then they moved to Jasper, and then they moved to Smyrna, and then to Marietta.
And
And
the
it
letter
took
had
out-
gone all over
it
the place.
had been put in different envelopes. It just wore itself out, right? There wasn't too much writing.
People didn't really write much,
No,
though,
there's
did they,
people
when
that
they
was
left home? If you had one of your relatives moved away, you wouldn't hear too much from them.
No, know what's about it till they come back on a visit.
Mhm. How about people wearing spectacles or glasses? Did they have any
Yeah.
when you were a
they had
child?
them.
How would they go about getting them?
My granddaddy Sparks' glasses was in my mother's trunk when she died. I don't know, I guess Alice let them hoodlums tear them out.
Mhm. And did you?
Yeah, they wore
Who else
glasses.
wore glasses that you can remember?
Who?
Who else besides your grandfather Sparks?
Lord, I don't know. I can't remember that far back. I don't think I was born.
No, I don't remember Grandpa Sparks. I remember who in your own generation do you
Oh,
ever?
Dad wore
Most
glasses.
people did not wear glasses. Did Kim Mulkey ever wear them?
Dad wore glasses long back as I can remember, until he get to where he couldn't see good out of them. But before he died, he got to where he could read as well without them as he did.
But he wore them when you remember him.
Yeah, yeah.
Would he wear them only to read?
I wanted to read, doing close work, making shoes, things like that.
Any of your brothers? Or
Huh?
any of your brothers?
Oh, yeah. They all wore glasses.
Uh-huh.
Gus's eyes went bad on him, and he never could get no glasses to be see-through. But they all wore glasses.
What, if you needed doctoring, do you ever remember a doctor coming to any place when you were living in Gilmer County?
Oh, yeah.
Who was the doctor?
Dr. N.C. Goss.
Mm-hmm.
The first and only doctor I ever remember for years and years.
And he came from,
He was raised in Gilmer County.
and where did he have his office? In Ellijay?
Gilmer County. Cartacay.
In Cartacay.
Yeah. He lived in Cartacay.
How old a man was he when you first remember him?
Oh, I guess he's 50.
He's the only doctor in those early years you remember?
Oh, yeah, no. There's Dr. Holden. That's Dr. Goss. He finally went to LJ, and Dr. Holden took his place.
At Cartacay?
Yeah. And then
Was Holden younger? Or
He was younger, yeah.
how long do you remember?
Steve Chastain, or Dr. Holden, he taught school for the longest time before he made a doctor. And Steve Chastain, he was a young man. He went to med school, and he was
Well, now he followed Holden after
well,
that?
he come in there while Holden was there, and Holden was such a mean rascal, he fought him all the time.
So there were two of them in Cartacay.
Yeah, there's two at one time.
Would they
For a little
come out
while.
on horseback to make house calls or what?
Horseback, buggy,
Mhm.
any way they could get there.
And what would they usually come for?
Any kind of sickness that happened in the family, they called them.
Do you have any idea of what they charged?
Well, they didn't charge too much. I know, I don't remember just exactly, but Dr. Goss, I can remember hearing him talk about it. For delivering the baby, he charged $1.50.
That was when you were small, you remember?
Yeah.
$1.50 to deliver a baby.
Right, and then after several years later, it went to $5, and then it's just kept climbing ever since.
Now,
And now they go to a hospital, and it's more.
okay. Now, were there any midwives? Did any of the women deliver
Yeah,
babies?
yeah.
Who were midwives?
Well, I can't remember.
You remember which
I
women
never
would?
used one.
No, but
Well,
can you
then-
remember who you heard?
Well, there's Mrs. Wright and Charlie Kennemer's wife.
Mrs. Wright, W-R-I-G-H-T?
Yeah,
Where did she live?
she lived down in the Clear Creek settlement.
They would come over and deliver babies if they were asked to.
Yeah, if it
Would they
was.
charge?
If it couldn't, no, seldom ever. Unless they want somebody to give them something, or they accept it.
Was more an accommodation.
Yeah.
Those two you remember would do that.
Yeah. Well, that's all I remember.
Do you ever remember anybody getting very sick and dying when you were young?
A lot of people died. They had to be very sick.
What did they die of, or what was their
Different
illness?
diseases.
Any bad accidents?
Yeah, there's one boy was firing a boiler for the engine for a sawmill, and it blew up. Caught him on the part of the contraption fell on him, and he couldn't get loose, and that boiling water come out, and him lying there begging him to cut his leg off. Just had his leg pinned down, and they wouldn't do it. It was completely cooked when they got him out.
He was a young boy, you think?
Yeah.
Now Grancy knows how much work you do, old boy. Right down on your desk, damn chicken. Sitting right on your telephone.
Done what?
Yes, sir.
Know how much work he does now.
She sees a chicken
Down on his desk is a chicken hatching eggs down
hatching
there.
eggs right on his desk. So
Sitting
what
right
kind of
by
work
the
could he do?
telephone this far.
Well, if that hen had picked her as much as he has you, she would.
If you reach over to get the phone, the chicken comes.
Would the doctors carry drugs with them? Would they give you a medication?
I never heard tell a prescription in my life till I moved from Gilmer County.
Did you ever have a doctor for yourself personally?
Yeah. Sure. will.
Dr. Goss or who?
Dr. Goss.
And were you small, or was it after you were married?
Well, I was about grown. I had, he like to never found out what the trouble was. And he finally kept reading, kept asking questions. And it was tick-doodle-roo.
What?
Tick-doodle-roo. Tickdoodle-roo.
Now, you're not trying to pull my leg. What was that? Tick-doodle-roo.
It's, he said it had something to do with the fifth nerve, the reaction of
Yeah.
the fifth nerve or something like that.
What was it doing to
It
you?
was in my head, just like something, a fork and stick or something that twisted around in there. Throw me
You
out.
felt it?
Huh?
You felt it? Was it painful?
What do you think it'd be painful?
I don't know.
Take a fork and stick and
Where, it was on your right side or your left?
It was in my head.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't on either side. It just
Yeah.
hit my head all over.
What did he do for you?
Well, he gave me some kind of medicine.
Yeah.
We couldn't control it. Dad called another doctor from Elgin, Dr. Tankersley. And he told Dr. Goss that he's doing the right thing, all that could be done, and his medicine wasn't strong enough.
You were about how old then?
I guess I was 14, 15,
How long did you have this pain? That was
oh,
this.
several days, about 2 weeks.
Did it go away?
Well, finally, they got it under control.
Do you think it went away by itself, or they helped it with their medicine?
Well, I don't know what to think. I don't know what had happened if they hadn't tried.
Have you ever had that pain again?
Oh, yeah, I've had it a few times.
The same type of pain?
Yeah.
Recently or long
No,
time?
it's been years.
It was like a forked stick inside your head.
Just something twisting.
Yeah, and you had no blow or any problem before
No.
that. What, did he give you some powders for it, or?
Well, I really don't remember. It was liquid and powders too, I think.
And that's the only time until you were married that you needed a doctor?
Yeah.
And then did you need a doctor when you delivered Don and Johnny at home? Did you always have a doctor? Were you attended by a doctor?
Yeah.
Did they get there in time each time?
Yeah.
Now suppose it was at night. Would they spend the night with you?
Yeah.
Who was it, Dr. Goss or?
Dr. Goss, Dr. Chastain.
Dr. Goss delivered Don,
Yeah.
and Dr. Chastain delivered who?
Bell, I believe.
But Goss delivered Elsie as well?
Yeah. And
Charlie?
Dr. Strickland was everybody.
Yeah, but by then you were gone from Gilmer.
I was at the Springs then.
Yeah, but in Gilmer County, Chastain.
Chastain and Goss. Was the name.
How about who delivered Charlie?
I guess it's no, Dr. Goss.
Do you remember what they were charging by then?
$5.
For all of them, Don. Did it get any higher with Chastain?
Well, everybody went higher.
To 10? Or 5? Were they still 5?
Yeah.
For
all
Bell?
5. And then,
Was Bell born in Gilmer County?
Yeah.
She was the last one born up there?
Yeah.
And who came after Belle? Oh, Lemma was born up there, too.
Yeah, no. Well, Don, Dee Dee, and Charlie and Wilmer. Belle was born
All
there.
right. Now, when you, would you have other help? Would neighbors come in and help after the doctor delivered you?
Always somebody in there. A lot of visitors.
And how long would you stay out of commission after you had a baby in those days?
I didn't do any heavy work for a week or two.
Mhm. You never had a very difficult problem. What was the personality of Dr.? Was Dr. Goss? I've heard his name before. Was he where did I hear him? N.C. Goss. Was he related in some way?
Yeah, he and Grandpa West were cousins.
Yeah, he comes into that family picture.
Mhm.
What was his personality like?
Oh, he was a nice person. He was kind of, I don't know, he didn't have much to say, but what he said meant something.
Mm-hmm. Good common sense?
Yeah.
How about Chastain?
Well, he was a nice person. I knew him.
Was this Holden, was he kin to that Holden school teacher that didn't have much brains?
His cousin, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And he was mean as a snake.
He didn't last too long there, or did he stay on?
No, he stayed several years there. Him and his wife separated. She's told around over the community that if she was anybody, any of his patients, she'd be afraid to take his medicine if he's the least bit mad at her. She said he'd kill him. So,
She wasn't too good an advertisement, was she?
no, I got some, they didn't used to have now. Well, I guess when Belle was a baby, I never heard tell of aspirin. We didn't have aspirin.
Mm-hmm.
They called them headache tablets. Just get a little white tablet. You could take them. I've got some from, he got them for me from Dr. Holden once. I had a headache, something like neuritis or something, trouble in my head. Well, he got sick one day. He had a headache. No, he was just about crazy with a headache. I gave him, after Holden and his wife was separated. And I had to go to field and pick beans. He was on the bed. He didn't feel like getting up.
Was this Oliver?
Yeah. And I gave him one of those tablets. And after he took it, he said, "What was that you gave me?" And I said, "It's one of them headache tablets that you got from Dr. Holden." And I went on to pick the beans or do whatever I was doing. And left the children there with him. I heard him screaming and coming. Daddy was about to die. He wanted me to come quick. I went, and he was in the awfulest stew I ever saw. He was just a raging king. You went and gave him that old medicine.
Oh, he had heard about that.
I've been informed he thought about it
Yeah.
after I told him that doctor was what Holden.
Had preyed on his mind.
Yeah, and he was.
Would Oliver worry that way about things like
Oh,
that?
he'd get scared if he got sick.
Yeah. Did his asthma, did he have it early on in your marriage, or did he get it later?
Which
The asthma.
he had asthma, what they call tizics in children.
What did they call it?
Tizics.
Mhm.
Tizics.
What did
Yeah.
Tizic do?
Well, it's the same as asthma. They usually outgrow it, but he never did. And it
You
stayed
mean
on,
breathlessness and that kind
and
of...
it stayed on with him.
What did it do as you viewed it? How did it...
Well, it just, I don't know, it was easy to take cold and just smother, and,
Mhm.
and you could hear him breathing.
While he was asleep, you mean?
And any time when he had the attack.
Even when he was young, or when he had an attack of it?
Well, as long as I knew him.
Mhm.
He had it when he was a baby, and he'd almost smothered to death. And they thought maybe he'd outgrow it, but he didn't. just kept on working on him. But he was, I don't know, he was very careless about his health and exposing himself. He'd get out when it's cold, cooler than it is now, cool as it was the other night when he was here, and get sopping wet. It would come rain on him, and he'd come in, and I couldn't get him to change clothes. He'd just wear them till they dried on him.
So
He told
he'd
me.
bring on these attacks sometimes.
Yeah. Well, he'd get a cold in the autumn. And then all after before he died, he was getting along pretty good. He went to Florida and stayed part of the winter in Florida with Charlie. When he came back home, the worst spell of weather we had is when he walked from Kennesaw down to the house, just a little ways, and the snow was that deep on his hat when he got in there, and he just looked like he had white paint all over him. And he wouldn't, he'd get out and do something, he'd get out and work, he'd get out and he'd put on a heavy undershirt, then his top shirt, and then a wool shirt on top of that, and a sweater, and go out to chop wood. Well, he began to get warmed up, and he'd pull one off, and lay it down. He'd get down to his undershirt. He's chopping, be sweating, get ready to come to the house, and it made a difference how cold or windy it was. It wouldn't be cold, he'd just come on. By the time he'd get to the house, he'd be a chilling. And I couldn't get him to put on all this weight and go back and put on the ones I pulled off. He wouldn't put on nothing extra, and he just kept himself with the cold all the time. I had to watch him, and then I couldn't do nothing with him. Well, Marie was there after a while. He was sick. He was in the bed. Hadn't been out. Well, the doctor, Hal at Hartsville, thought he had TB, and he put him in the bed for a month. Not to get out of the bed for a month. Well, that's the worst thing he could have done. He twisted around and was on one side of the bed, and his head, the foot of the bed. And one morning I went to I think his mother, teed him off. She'd tell him that I wasn't feeding him right, wasn't giving him the right kind of food. And if I had you, I'd give you anything you wanted, and she'd just talk. Every time my back was turned, she'd be spoiling and talking to him.
Was he her favorite son or something?
No, that's all her favorite. She just wanted the medal, that was all. And because when I said a thing, I meant to stick to it. And if the doctor told me, don't let them have certain things, they didn't get it. And that's what was
You were trying to carry out the doctor's orders.
aggravating her. But one morning I went, Marie was there. After her mother died, she was fooling around, and I had to go to the barns or something. Rudy was gone to school, and I was at the barn. I guess I went to the mill, and I got back, and she was, I put an iron in front of the fire to heat to do some ironing, and that iron that I was kept to his feet slipped in the corner, just where it keep good and warm, you know. And his feet had got cold, and he told her to get that iron, wrapped it up in a sweater, and put it to his feet. Well, she didn't know the difference. I'd never thought about him telling her to do that. And just as I come into the door, the smoke fogged up, and I looked and I said, what in the world are you doing, honey? She said, I'm getting this arm put right across the feet. And she got there.
She was just a little thing.
Yeah, it's a new sweater. He told her to just hang on cherry to get that sweater. One of Rudy's school sweater. I think about it fixing to wash it. A day for the funeral. And somebody would offer a wagon and team, haul them to the church. That was the way they got there, the way they got to bury him.
Now,
Funerals was usually a sort of kind of a sad incident for somebody everybody knew. There's a lot of people that, well, there's a lot of killings there at times.
Mm-hmm.
I've been to a few funerals where a man had been shot.
Young men in those
Yeah,
days.
drunk. They're drunk. We did a drunken brawl. And one would shoot the other. And there's one section back over in that back edge of Gilmer and Dawson. I don't know if it's the Dawson line, where they was rough while they fight amongst their own families.
Mhm.
One man shot his cousin. He had a little grocery store up in the mountain, and they got to drinking and got into a dispute about something. And he was standing by the counter, and Joker just hauled off and shot him and walked out. Well, they had the trial, and I couldn't say much. There wasn't nobody ever hanged for that. I mean, there was a lot of murders and everything. Get out of it somehow.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're talking on Saturday, July 6, 1974, and you're home again. I guess in Gilmer County in the old days, you were saying that a marriage was not a very big social occasion.
Oh, no.
It would. How many people might typically come together for a marriage?
Well, it all depended on the relation of the bride and groom. Sometimes the man would live way off somewhere and his folks couldn't get there. I know where they're going. Yeah, I remember when my oldest brother got married. I was just 8 years old. And there wasn't anybody there. It was her aunts, one or two of her aunts, and some of the friends around, some of the neighbors.
Where was the marriage?
Huh?
Where did you hold the marriage? At your home?
At her home.
At her home.
Yeah. At her home, they were married. And
You were 8 years old, and your whole family went?
No,
Who went?
they didn't go. I went, I just went.
Who else went of your brothers and
Well,
sisters?
my sisters, my oldest sister and two of my brothers, I believe, was all that went.
How about your mother and father?
They stayed at home.
So, and this was,
Then they all went the next day. Everybody that wanted to go went to my dad. They called that the inn fair. They had a dinner for him there. They had a dinner at the wedding.
that was called the Inn Fair?
Inn fair.
Inn Fair.
Inn fair. I don't know what the meaning of it was. I just always heard
Now
it.
that was the next day at your
Yeah,
home.
Next day. At the groom's home.
So your oldest brother at his wedding, the next day your father and mother entertained for dinner.
Yeah,
Did you get a pretty good crew in for that?
You'd been what?
Pretty good number of people for that?
Oh, yeah, there was more there than there was at the wedding.
And what would be served on that occasion? What kinds of things? Would it be
Well,
spread out on?
They put it on the table. They just got just plain food. Well, they must have had chicken, chicken pie or something like that, and cake, and vegetables and stuff like that. And then they didn't go in no big doings.
Would the men be able to have a drink or not on occasion like that?
Able or not able, they got a drink.
Okay. You were 8 years old, but you knew enough about what was going
Oh,
on.
yeah. And I'd see two boys out behind the building was shooting at the bottle. I know what they was doing. But they never misbehaved.
Did they play any games at a fair like that, just 8?
Just sit around and talk after they ate for a little while, and everybody broke up and went home.
Now, if that was an inn fair, was there also like an out fair by the girl's family or anything?
No, they served at the wedding.
I see.
They entertained.
The wedding was at her home,
Yeah.
and you were there.
And
They served a
they
dinner
went
after
to
the
his
wedding, huh?
home.
They had a dinner after the wedding?
Yeah.
Who was the preacher at your brother's?
Judge Whitaker.
What?
Judge Whitaker.
All right, he used a judge in place of a preacher, huh?
Judge Whitaker.
Judd was a
preacher.
Baptist. J-U-D-D?
Yeah.
Okay.
His name was Judson.
Judson
And
Whitaker.
they called him Judd.
Right. And that was pretty much the way weddings went. They weren't
Yeah,
terribly big
all
affairs.
over like that. Sometimes they just boy and girl taking them to get married, and they just go somewhere to justice of peace or find a preacher somewhere, get married, and go on about their business, and never made no big to do over it.
How about your own wedding?
Well, I was married at home. Just a few of my friends there was all.
Some of your family? Not all of them, and some of them didn't make it.
Some of my close friends, right, girls in the neighborhood, and boys.
So your family had a dinner right after the wedding?
Yeah.
Who was the preacher?
One of them preachers, the justice of peace.
Okay.
J.P.
Who was he, do you remember?
John P. Evans.
And was there what do you call it, an infare? Was there an infare the next day at Oliver's?
Well, yeah, they had dinner there, and the house was there because he had more kinfolks now. Now there's a lot of neighbors there.
Was there any making over a young bride? Did the family tend to kiss you a lot, or
No, they just
there wasn't any?
acted normal.
Acted normal.
Everybody did that.
Wasn't any right of young men to kiss the bride or something?
No,
Getting married? Okay.
no. That was all out of the question. They just got married and everybody tended their own business.
Did you dress up for a wedding?
Well, I put on a clean dress, yeah.
And what did Oliver wear, if you remember?
He had a suit, blue suit, navy blue suit.
Do you think it had been made at home?
Huh?
Was it?
No.
He had bought it.
I didn't watch it. That was 19 and
That was getting up
that was
there.
1905.
Okay.
And people had quit making clothes at that time.
They didn't make whole suits and spinning
They
and
didn't
all
make
that.
any kind of material. They didn't.
They bought the material by
Yeah,
them.
and they buy it ready-made.
hmm
My mother quit making cloth when I was 10 years old, and I spun enough cotton thread to make 10 yards of towel material, hand towel, face towel, or bath towel, what are you going to call it? That's pieces about that wide,
Yep.
about that long.
Now those pieces you're showing me by your hands were about 2 or 2.5 feet wide.
About 2 feet wide.
About 2 feet wide.
And they was wider, they're longer than it's wide, about 2.5 feet, 2.9 inches, something like that.
And they were
It's soft
cotton
towel.
cloth.
Yeah, made out of cotton.
About 10 yards in
And
total
we grew
length.
the cotton on the farm. And I helped pick the seed out of it. Had no cotton gin. Cotton gin was, closest cotton gin was 15 miles away.
So you didn't have a
And
gin,
couldn't
you
make
did
a
it all.
trip to the cotton gin, get the cotton gin and get back home the same day.
Right. Now we got our noisy friend again going by.
Yeah.
Too bad he wasn't admitted to the Army.
No.
He missed out on that one.
Yeah. I lost my.
Well, now what was the most unusual wedding you remember attending? Was there
I
any?
don't remember very, I remember.
Was there ever any disorder? Any fighting?
Oh, yeah.
Any?
On further back, and they'd have free-for-all fights sometimes.
Well, when you mean in further back,
Then to get to drinking.
towards
Rules
Jasper,
is
which
not
direction?
anybody.
Or toward Dawson, over in there? Towards Dawson County, or where?
Yeah, it's on the edge, right to the county line, on either side of Gilmer, Dawson. They broke one way as well as the other. They made moonshine over there all the time.
Much more than in your own part of it.
Yeah.
Now there's a new book out, just came out this year, by a fellow named Dabney called Mountain Spirits, and it's about moonshine making, moonshine distribution.
I don't know him.
Well, I haven't seen the book either, but I've read about it. And they say he deals a great deal with the area around Lillie, and I think Jasper is very.
He's in Fort now.
He tells a great deal about moonshine making around Lillie.
Well, I don't remember anybody by that name there.
No, I think he's just the writer. No, he's just a man who went and interviewed the people.
He's got it in hearsay, and it's like,
He went to see the old moonshiners if he could find them. So if I find out their names, I'll check them out with you and see if you know someone. Maybe he began interviewing 10 years ago, this fellow Loving, or whatever his name was, Loring, you remember? Some of those, Loring, maybe some of those fellows could have told him about it if he found them.
not. Probably been
Dead too long, huh?
been dead over 50 years.
Well, he claims he found a lot of old moonshiners and revenuers and talked to them at length about it, and I don't know what he found.
When was that?
In the last few years, in gathering the material for the book.
Well, there's not.
I think these were later men, like World War II, yeah.
Well, the old-time moonshiners up there.
Well, I think this may have been the later period when you were telling me they already were diluting it and, you know, ruining it around World War I.
19 and 14. At the beginning of World War I, when they began to, prices went up and they got, then they, I don't remember when they passed the Prohibition law.
That came right after World War I, around 1920, right in there. So from then on, Prohibition made a bigger mess of it all, didn't it?
Oh, yeah.
And by
that
then...
is when they started to dilute it, so they take chances on making it. And they'd make as much as they could out of one little bunch. They keep down suspicion. And they used to watch people that see them go in the mill too often. Well, then they usually had to steal somewhere. If they have to carry the corn to the mill, get it ground. And after that, they just get one batch and they make it over and over. And you couldn't use sugar a while, they couldn't get sugar, and then they used some molasses. And then they got to buying this black molasses. We ordered from the barrel.
Well, now, weddings were not too big an affair. How about funerals? Were they at times large if the person was popular or well-known?
Well, it's in just the area around each church where the funeral would be held. Most of them knew when they'd all go out to see him for the last time.
Now, how would they prepare the body? Would they they wouldn't use a funeral parlor like they do today, would they? Family would prepare it?
It was in the home. They said 2 chairs.
Yeah.
Neighbor across and set the coffin on it.
It was a homemade coffin?
Some blacksmith would furnish the tools and help make the coffin out of
maybe pine boards?
Okay. Pine boards or any kind of board that come handy.
Okay. Then they'd set the person as he had died. Would they'd clothe him, maybe?
Put his clothes on, dress him, just like you.
And
whatever
then
they had to put on him.
Lay him in there.
They didn't have too much money to spend on it, and didn't.
How old were you when you attended your first funeral?
I guess I was 12 years old. One of my uncles, first dead person I ever saw.
Who was that?
Uncle Wash.
Now, they'd lay 2 chairs together. They'd have this plain wooden coffin. He'd be dressed and laid in it. And would they hold the funeral, like if he died today, they might have it tomorrow as soon as the word could go out?
Next day, all depended. If he had some people who was off, they'd give him a chance to come, but they couldn't hold it long on
count of it.
In hot weather.
Sure.
There was no such thing as embalming the body.
Right.
They just had to bury him.
Okay. Now what?
My sister was burned to death. She died at 9 o'clock one night, and they buried her the next day at 2. So she was burned all over.
How old were you?
And that, I was 15. And that was, they couldn't have kept her out any longer. I had one brother who was in Oklahoma. They had no way of reaching him, only by letter, and he couldn't have made it.
They decided to go
So
ahead.
they just went, they had to, if they do nothing else.
Right. Now, the service, would it be very dramatic or last very long?
Well, sometimes it would, sometimes it wouldn't. It all depended on the person. I have been to funerals when there'd be 3 preachers get up and talk at least 30 minutes, each one of them, and all say the same thing, and all tell the same story.
Are preachers sort of prone to do that, you think?
Well, they were at that time. I don't know. I haven't heard. I haven't been at a funeral in, I don't know, a long time. I'll be Vanderbilt Post was the last funeral around here that I attended.
Now, would the other neighbors bring in food so the family didn't have to worry about that?
Well, yeah, they bring in something, but not like you do now. They bring in too much food now.
They just made sure they didn't have to cook right
Yeah.
then and so forth.
If they didn't bring in food, everybody had about the same amount of food they all had. Well, they had plenty to eat, what they had, but some of the neighbors would go in and cook it.
Now, what about the burying? Would it take place usually in a family plot right on the farm, or what would you?
No, in the cemetery, the church.
The
like
church
Ebenezer.
cemetery, like we visited at Ebenezer. Okay.
You know, that wasn't
Right.
in the family farm there.
No, but were there family
Oh,
plots
yeah,
in addition?
I was telling you a while ago about that. My dad, I happened to take up this body.
Yeah, what was that family?
Ben Harris.
Harris?
Harris.
Well, they had to move the girl's body.
Huh?
They were moving the girl's body after 20 years.
Yeah. They didn't move the girl's body. The girl's body was gone when
Right.
they took that bottom
Yeah.
of the top of the coffin up. Nothing there.
Sort of, you said, like paper had burned
Yeah.
and collapsed as
Now,
soon as they
Dan said
touched
it looked
it.
just like you see a piece of paper, just let it burn. Sometimes paper will burn, you know, with a blaze.
Yes.
And when it goes out, it's just a big sheet line there. And that's the way,
And in a moment it collapses.
yeah, you can see the letters on the paper when
Yeah.
it burns like that, you know, it congeals,
Yeah.
stays together. And but just even just touching it's gone. Crumbled up.
Right.
The way that was.
Now,
Now there's the Kennemers. Kennemers and the orphan graveyard, I believe they call it.
Kennemers had their own graveyard?
Yeah, the orphan started it. The Kennemers, they married in mixed with the Kennemers.
So they had a joint graveyard.
Well, they just had
But otherwise, most of the
all the
people...
relatives were buried there. In that family name, or there's
Right.
changed names on there.
For the most part, then, people that you knew were buried at Ebenezer or occasionally at
Clear Creek,
Clear
Bird
Creek.
Mountain.
As far as you know, are those graveyards still intact the way Ebenezer is?
Yeah.
Those are still existing.
Clear Creek is that's a beautiful cemetery. It just is
Well
solid,
maintained.
solid white. And it's just round smooth all around, and the graves are,
When did you last visit Clear Creek?
5 years ago.
How about Burnt Mountain?
I haven't been to Bird Mountain in 20 years again, but the graveyard is well kept.
Right.
Where have you been?
Causing trouble.
Well, then if marriages didn't draw crowds, and if there were no fairs, and if funerals drew a little better crowds,
Yeah.
that was about the limit of how people came together, wasn't it? Except for church
Yeah, singing.
singing.
And school picnics after
When did you have school picnics?
the end of the close of the school term.
Once? One of them, right at the end?
Right at
The end of the 2.5 months?
Yeah.
And what would it be, on a Sunday or a
The
week?
last day of school.
Last day of school.
Usually Friday.
Did you bring your parents?
Nope, they come on their own.
Okay. And
Everybody brought out
that was a
dinner.
pretty good turnout
They
then.
bring out dinner, oh yeah.
What would you have again, eating out on the...
Smart.
At the table. At the table with the,
Yeah.
put the food on.
We got a keen interviewer arriving on the scene now.
But I want you to tell about that man that arrived at the door and wanted to know where that road went.
Who?
Some man arrived at the store and wanted to know where that road went. You were in a cantankerous mood.
Oh, that was just a bunch of my foolishness.
Go ahead. I got my rats.
I was in the store one day, and it had been raining, foggy, cloudy, and it rained, and I was sitting there just by myself, and I hadn't seen a soul.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sitting there crocheting something, doing something. The door was standing open. I heard a little more, and I looked up, and there's a man standing at the door. He said, "Lady, can you tell me where I am?" I said, "You're standing outside my door." And he looked sort of funny and started grinning. And he said, "Well, where does this road go?" I said, "It's been here 20 years, hasn't moved." And then he looked so funny. He said, "I'm lost." And I said, "Well, I'm glad I don't have to find you."
You said what?
"I'm glad I don't have to find you." Then I guess I give myself away. I got tickled, you know. And he said, "Oh, you just kidding me." He said, "Sure enough, I'm lost. I passed this place a half dozen times this morning." I said, "You've never passed this place a time this morning?" And I sure have. I said, "No, I've been sitting right here in this seat. And the door's been standing open. There's not a car. That's the first car that's come in here this morning." Well, he says the place that looked like it. And I got sort of sorry for him then. He kind of twisted around and looked embarrassed. And I got up. So I said, "Now, if you tell me where you want to go, maybe I can put you on the right road." He said he wanted to, I forget where he said he wanted to go, but anyway, I said, "When I go this end of the road, it'll take you into Blairsville, take you into the Commercial Highway thing, you take the right and go to Blairsville, the other goes to Commercial." And I said, "You take this road, and you get over the hill here, the first right hand, go straight on, you go to the dam, not the dam." And I said, "You take the first left-hand paved road, go out that way, and it'll take you into the Blue Ridge Highway, right in front of John Abernathy's store." He jumped about yonder high. He said, "My God, John Abernathy's a man I'm hunting." And I said, "If you'd told me, asked me that at first, I could have told you that. A lot less trouble." Well, I believe they said supper's